Welcome to the Master Your Millions podcast, the show all about your financial potential and leaving a legacy for future generations. Here are your hosts, Jason and Scott Henderson.
Thanks, Scott. Yes, today we have a guest that I'm actually quite excited about and humbled to have. I met Kohila a little while ago. Her name is Kohila Sivas. And there's certain people in the world that when you meet them, you know that they're good. They're genuinely good people and they want to make a difference in the world. And it appears to me that what Kohila is really passionate about is completely revolutionizing learning and education, both for the educator, the students, the parents. And she has a stated goal of impacting 1.5 million students by the year 2035. Now, personally, I think that's too small, yet I love the fact that that's out there. I think that what she's doing and how she's going about it, and just the spirit that is about her, it's going to be well beyond that. So, Kohila, with that brief introduction, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Now, are you originally from the United States? Where are you originally from?
I'm originally Sri Lankan. This is a small island underneath India. It's a separate country. It's not India because many people believe it's India, but it's not. It's separate. But then I moved to Canada when I was 6 years old. So I am Canadian, living in Vancouver, Canada.
Cool. And how is it that coming from that background through some of your growing up and formative years, what is it that's caused you to be so adamant about changing education?
This life that I have is a second life I was given. I decided to end my life at the age of 12. At the end of year 12, I was like, this is it, because there was lots of hardship, including alcoholic dad and several other things, and moving away from war, because we did have war in Sri Lanka. That's why we moved here. So all of that made me decide to do that. And then when I came back, I had no choice. I have to figure it out, how to make this life work. So that's where I think this passion comes from me. Given the second chance to live, I have to make the purpose for that, right? That's the purpose I'm living today, is creating a change. And what I wanted at the time before I died was a person who would listen to me. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. But at that time, I didn't have anyone like that. So the people that I certify now, they are called learning success coaches. So I create the coaches that I wanted when I was young. So that's my mission.
I love that. You haven't simply sat around and wished for something to happen. You're creating it.
Yes.
And so tell me, what do you mean by holistic learning?
So a lot of the time, in the school system, we have a system that teach the content and then we test students. We don't care how the student is learning. We don't look at how they learn. Everybody learn differently. It's just like we have a fingerprint, we have a mind print. We come with it, right? So, but we don't customize any of that. We just teach it to the middle. Hopefully we hope everyone gets it. And if we don't get it, we label ourselves stupid or dumb. And I'm not born with an intelligent, right? But it's not true. It's because the system teaches that way, and we are made to believe we're dumb. Because when I was young, I thought I would never learn math. But when I came back from that suicide attempt, and when I sat with math, and when I figured it out, and when I cracked the codes of math, I became an expert in math. I have helped over 1,600 plus students in learning math and creating future for them and transforming them. So if I had believed that I'm not good at math, I wouldn't be who I am today, right? Now I know math inside out. So in the school system, we don't provide that exploration. We usually suck out the creativity from the students. We want them to fit into this mold. And if they don't fit in, we label them. So all of these things is what took me out of that system. I was working in the school system as a teacher, but I couldn't do it because it didn't work for me or my students.
I'm curious, Kohila. you talk about the school system and how it sucks creativity out of people and how, everybody is unique in learning and you have this holistic learning approach. What does that actually look like? You know,
Mhm.
what are the concrete differences between, what we see in most school systems today and what you teach?
Yeah. So most of the time, I compare our students' mind to a land that has not been prepared, and we are planting information onto that land, which is the mind soil. If the soil is not ready, you can't harvest anything from it, right? You can't plant anything, you can't harvest anything. For me, I look at my students' mind as a soil that needs to be prepared, and that preparation happens with connection first. It's not content. We have to connect with the students the way they are as a person. Our students are not students, they are a person first. A lot of the time we're told to look at them as a student, right? So we need to take those glasses off, look at the person as a person, and we connect them through that, and we show them that we care, not just for marks, we care about you. That way we are able to create a holistic change. But I also have another part of my methodology is actually retraining at the neurological level. A lot of the time our students tell themselves or they're conditioned to believe that they're not capable of doing something. So when I'm able to retrain there at the neurological level, they're able to believe that I can do anything. And when I can get that into them and that training is done, they will do anything in their life.
I love that. Our podcast, and we say it all the time, is about accumulating, enjoying, and passing on your wealth. And there may be some people that are listening to this particular episode saying, what has this got to do with being an entrepreneur or a real estate investor or a practitioner of the infinite banking concept? I'm here to tell you that what she said a minute ago is exactly right in line with good business principles. You don't sell a product first. I mean, particularly, there's got to be a connection, right? There's a connection with humans. And so that what you said was amazing. And just that's a little bit off the side. I want to come back to what your Carter was asking and talking about. I'm a parent. What does it look like for me? Because the school system is a school system.
Yep.
It is so massive and so ingrained, and in the United States, it's the Department of a governmental department. It's so big, Department of Education is so huge that I don't know me as an individual is going to change that. What do I do to help those that I'm concerned about, my kids, be in the system, not be a product of the system, but yet benefit from the system? You follow me? I'm not sure I'm asking the right question.
Yeah, so the system is hard to fix. That's why I never attempted to even fix that. And I think the system is going through a chaos. And the people that are going to change that system is our students. They're already showing it in behaviors. They don't want to be there. I always compare it to you have a storefront, you have merchandise. If your customers are coming and they're like, I don't want to buy this, you're not going to keep the merchandise forever, would you? Your store is going to go down. Your business is going to evaporate soon. So the system is going to notice that these kids don't want what you're offering. If you're just going to offer information to them, which is so much available on their fingertip now, why do I need to sit in this four walls contained and learn it when I could just learn it whenever I want? So it has to be more than an information and testing place, right? They have to make it relevant. And coming back to your financial literacy, as a math teacher and who cracked the codes of math, I've always wondered, why can't we start teaching our students the connection of why you learn these numbers, where are you going to use it? If we start implementing that in the earlier stages, now we know why we're learning. Instead of just learning math and adding, why do you need to add? Because it applies to money, it applies to this, we have to add, and we need to be strong in our mental math. Otherwise, someone can trick us. We can't get always a calculator, right? Even a mental math. People ask, why do you learn mental math? Well, if someone's telling you this is $2, that's $5, you have to add in your mind. That's mental math. You can't just be there. And that person says $10, you have to say, sorry, I don't think that's what it is. It's not, it doesn't add up to that. So we never put relevant to what we teach our students, right? This is why financial literacy at the end of the day is a huge problem for adults. There's no connection. Education's waste when it comes to that. There's no relevant to it. So the students are going to change the system. I know it, not me.
So I have a son, not the one that's either the one that I've already introduced you to, that struggled with math. Okay.
Yes.
And it was a few years ago, he had taken a job down in southern Utah and was helping a man develop a resort. And part of this resort, there were caves in this cliff that they had created, right? And they were going to turn it into a luxury resort for high-end people to come and stay. And anyway, he was doing all kinds of different things. And he called my wife one day and said, "No, don't ask anything and don't say anything, but how do I find out the area of a trapezoid?" Because he knew what she was going to say. Had you listened in school and you'd know how to do it, right? But it was all of a sudden because he needed to put flooring. He needed to go to the store and buy enough flooring so that he could put it in the floor of this. And it wasn't, it was an irregular trapezoid, right? At how do I really find the area? How much do I buy to do that? Because it was quite a ways from where this place is. It's fairly remote into town to come back. And it wasn't a paved road or anything. It was quite off the beaten path. But you're right. So had he had relevance, had he somehow been able to say, maybe someday you're going to be putting in a floor in a cave, and this will come in handy. That maybe would have stood up and said, "Oh yeah, I'll learn this," and been very easy. That's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, relevant to their, when am I going to use this? Like one of the biggest questions kids ask is, why am I learning this? Like we teach 90-degree triangle and we never show them that it's all over your room right now you're sitting in. There's 90-degree angle. Everything stands with 90-degree triangle, 90-degree angle, right? But we never say it. We just say it on the paper as we're finding 90-degree, right? So that relevant makes a huge difference. Oh, it is in my environment. One day I could use this. I should know this. So I should pay attention, right? So that relevant is missing in the classrooms. Yeah, we just teach content.
Interesting. You mentioned financial literacy, which is woefully bad in the United States. People do not understand money. They do not understand how it works and how to properly use it in their life. And that's something that, for me anyway, and in particular with our podcast, that would be, we find that a recurring theme, right? That entrepreneurs, they get in, they don't understand that one of the biggest problems you can have is cash flow as a business. When do you hire someone? When do you have an accountant and things like that? So I really appreciate that you mentioned that. So back to being a father. I think one thing that Carter's kind of thinking is Carter doesn't have any kids.
Not yet, anyway. One day is the hope.
Yes.
Okay,
Beautiful.
but how is what she talking about? What would you be thinking along those lines, Carter?
So along those lines, I'd be wondering, obviously before I get to school age children, I've got to go through, having a baby and a toddler, and I'm going to have young kids for quite a while still once I do start having kids. How do I prepare them, from that young age to go through the school system and still, come out on top, if you will, at the end?
At this stage, my honest opinion, I wouldn't send them to school. I would homeschool.
Okay. You would homeschool them.
Yeah. Unless I see a fix in the system, it has to fix itself. It's very, very toxic in every level. I talk to at least 30 to 40 teachers a week because of my other business where I serve them. I talk to parents because of my other side of the business. I know both sides. And then I talk to my students on top of that. All of these people are saying this environment is not fostering our learning or our relationship. There's a lot of blaming going on. So in United States, Canada is similarly too, but in the United States, I hear that they have taken all the toys out of the kindergarten classrooms. They have put desks for them to sit and work for the next 6 hours. No kindergarten should ever be sitting for 6 hours and doing without toys. That the way they learn and they interact is through toys that and play, right? But now the play is not available to these kids. This is what I'm hearing. So if a classroom is built like that, and in grade 2, they're taking a major test on a computerized testing station, that's not how 2-year-old or grade 2 kids learn or can display their strength in anything, right? So by doing that, we're saying by grade 2, you are not capable. When a child believes that they no longer are capable, there is no future for them. They're going to look at things and they're going to have self-image that they're not capable. That's a bad thing. So why are we testing these students so early without proper preparation? And why are we taking the toys and tools out of the classrooms when that's how they learn? And where are the psychologists? That's my question, big question. Where are the child psychologists? Who's approving these, right? So for those reasons, I would not send your kids to school right now, currently in this, it has to change.
I'm wondering how much of it, though, also has to do with parents that abdicate the responsibility too quickly.
Yep.
They think, I don't need to teach my kid anything, I'll just send them off to school. And part of that has to do with, I mean, it's sorry to bring it full circle, but some of it is lack of financial education for the fact that we have, very rarely do you have one of the parents that stay at home and their full-time focus is the development of the children, where you have a lot of single mothers, single fathers that, get up, get them off to school as fast as they can so they can get to work, so they can make the rent payment, right?
Yes.
And not the playtime like you're talking about. Understanding angles, like you brought up earlier, starts with playing with blocks.
Exactly.
Right? You write types of blocks, and this one won't fit here because my whole thing will fall down if I do this. And they start to understand that and figure that out simply by playing. And I think a lot
How
of
about money?
Huh?
Money, even money. Like you played store with some of your friends when you were young. We all played store, pretend store. We would go and buy with our fake money, get change, give change. Huh?
Or
So
And
even
that's
have
if I may as well, I think probably one of the things, going back to what Jason said earlier about, us having a financial education crisis, is that parents don't talk about money much beyond, playing in a store. For most families, the topic of money and finances, I think, is very taboo.
Yep. You won't share. We don't share information. Yep.
and the kids aren't encouraged. I mean, I'm an adamant lemonade stand stopper. I see a lemonade stand, I pull over and how much is it? Give me 5 of them, but I only want one. You know what I'm saying? And I support them and ask them, well, why are you doing this? And hey, this is really good. You need to keep doing this type of activity, right? Because it's interesting though. I remember just recently there was a one of the younger ones that had come to the car, and they looked at their I don't know if it was a sibling or friend. This is not what I'm supposed to get. I think it had them like a $10 bill or something. They didn't know what to do, and so they come over and showed them, look, this is the change, right? They learned math real fast there, exactly what you're talking. So some of that's what's going on. Are there other things that you think are absent with what parents do or what society does that doesn't do, that would be very helpful for people at younger ages to learn faster?
Board games. Parents should play board games, right? So many board games are available. The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the games that they produce, so many things that you can, and just playing games at home and talking, as you said, Carter, about talking about finance. We have a mortgage, it's okay to share some details about the bills you have. Some kids don't even know the electricity costs money. That's how they don't know that you have to pay for that. Like with my son who's 17, I always tell him the water costs money. There's a bill that comes. You can take a look at it, how they, and then people say the school is free. School's not free. If you look on your property tax, it's listed how much that goes to the school and how much it goes to sewage and all of that stuff. Look at all of this. It's not free. Then in Canada, they say healthcare is free. Healthcare is not free. We pay for it with this and this and this. You got to show them. If you don't educate them, people just make these blank statements and our kids believe that. But as parents, I have the duty to present that. And when I was buying our house, I also told them, realtors will push you like this. You got to ask questions. You have to ask why this, why not that. We have to educate them on that, right? Buying bigger properties or bigger purchases, right? And going to the bank. Bank is an institution there to make money. It's not to make you money, it's there to make money. They're for profit. A lot of kids don't know that. They think it's an institution there to help them. No, they're not. They're for profit. So these are things that as parents, we can talk about that on a daily basis. Going to grocery store. I see parents, they have their kids on their iPhone. No, talk about the food, talk about the containers. There's so much we can do as parents, right, Carter, when you have kids. That being present with your kid and doing those things are the valuable teachings, right, throughout the whole life. Yeah. And you bond, you really connect with your kids during all of those things. And I wanted to create a program called, throughout my math career, I've coached students who are in grade kindergarten all the way to second, third year university. Whenever I was teaching them, I always thought I want to create a program called Math for Life. So these are things I just talked about, just going to grocery, bank, these very specific, buying a house, buying a car versus leasing a car. What's the difference? Why should you do that or that? Renting a house to buying a house. What is the difference, right? So these things we can teach it very easily to our kids, and they want to know. They're hungry to learn all this too, right? But we keep it, as the most of parents keep it, like it's not your business kind of thing. It's a separate part.
So I understand though that you ran or helped create math codes.
That's my business. One of my
That's your business, and that's your coaching business. And that's you also have a program that kids can plug into to learn math really, really well.
Yeah. So the math coaching is what I developed. It's 25 years I've been doing that. But last 2 years, I've been helping teachers use my methodology to coach students how to learn. Because the problem with what we're doing in the classroom is we're telling the students what to learn, but we never give them training on how to learn or how to take control of their brain and command actions from their brain. So I've been doing that with teachers who are passionate, especially 95% of the teachers I've helped are from the United States. There's a huge wave of people exiting from the classroom due to what I just said. They don't agree with a lot of things that are happening. So these are passionate teachers. If they leave the system, we're going to have a crisis. We already do. We will have more coming up. So I stop them. I give them this business opportunity. I've been able to train and certify close to now 250 teachers under my methodology. So they start and work independently, helping students and families.
And how would someone get more information about math codes?
Math Codes is a website. You can check out mathcodes.com. That's my kind of business, kind of on the parked space in terms of business. This Learning Success Coaches and Learning Success Academy is where they can check out everything. That's our new brand, Learning Success Academy.
So learningsuccessacademy.com.
Yes.
And don't worry about it, everyone, our listeners, that we'll put her contact information in the show notes, of course, that they could reach out to you and learn a little bit more about this. I mean, like I said earlier, I think this has a lot to do too with running a business, being able to educate an employee on the correct way, right, to do a job. I know that the whole school system is, or originally was designed to crank out factory workers, and that was the focus. Yet when they get to the end of this 12 years of schooling, or even 16 if they go to university, they still have skills that they're lacking, and the main one being not knowing how to learn. That's the one thing I've told my kids. The whole point of an education is to learn how to learn. Once you've learned how to learn, you can do anything you want, right? You can become a world expert in anything as a matter of time when you know how to learn. And yet, as an employer, if I'm wanted to teach my employees how to learn, there's some nuggets here that you've shared today that have been very, very good. So you did say in one point the goal that you have to impact 1.5 million kids by 2035. Is that still your biggest goal, or what would you say is a shorter term goal? Say in the next 5 years, what would you say you would?
Next 5 years, I'm launching a platform for parents. So one of the things I've been able to really research, I'm a researcher in my mind. All the time I'm doing some type of research to figure out why this problem's not working and that problem is not happening or something like that. So in that research, I discovered that parents are lacking parenting skills in this 21st century. And they're going to be a huge demand for that because parents do not know what to do anymore in the world we live in. There's 12 years old kids who are going to bed with their phone in their hand. And then their parents don't know why they're cranky and they're sleepless and they have sleep disorder because obviously these kids are staying up on it, right? These devices are the world in their hand. They can stay up. So there's parents who think that we have to give them these phones, these devices. So that's one of the issues, right? Not everything. But what I'm launching is a parenting platform called Personal Development for Parenting. So if I want to drive a car, I need to go get a license. But if I become a parent, I don't need to have any courses. There's no courses available. So many of the newer parents, they lack the skill to be they want to be a great parent, but they don't have the skill set. And this new world that we live in demand skills that maybe you and I didn't even need it for our kids. But when Carter has a kid, he will need newer parenting skills, which he can't turn to us because we don't even know about these things yet. It's all new to all of us.
Right. And you do have a book along this line, correct?
Yes.
Which is
yes.
called
The Cracking the Parenting Codes. Yeah. It's going to be a
Cracking the
series
Parenting
about.
Code, which is available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, Amazon.
So
yes.
in the event that you're interested, we recommend you go to Amazon. Of course, we could put a link in the show notes to that. Very easily go to Amazon and find that Cracking the Parenting Code.
Codes. Yeah.
Codes. It's codes, right?
Yeah, it's not
Right.
one because there's not one fits every parent, right? It's like our mind print. Every parenting is going to look different. That's the thing with our world is that some people figure something out and this is the way it's going to work for everyone. No, it's not. It's the way it worked for you. The other person has to customize it the way it works for them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Kohila, we've come to the end of our short time together. Been very appreciative of you being a guest. One just kind of in a parting thing, because it's such a, it's an epidemic that people are having trouble with what you went through as a 12-year-old. You kind of thought that, well, there's not much to live for. In the event that you could talk to that 12-year-old or talk to someone right now that may be considering that I'm not relevant, I don't, I have no value. What would you speak into them right now?
Mm-hmm. So what I would speak into them is that the mind that's telling you that you're not valuable, you're not needed, nobody loves you, is the same mind if you can train it to say the opposite. I am the most important person in the world. I love myself. This is what I discovered during the time I was under, trying to take my life. The mind that told me that I don't deserve to live, when I woke up from that incident, the same mind told me that I do deserve to live. I am going to figure this out. You can do this thing. You can learn math. So it's the same mind. It's the way we train that mind to speak the right things. So don't listen to your mind when it's saying those things. You can actually train it. That's what one of my biggest thing is that it's not hard work. It's not smart work. The way that you do anything and win in life is about how you work your mind. So it's the mind work. So work on your mind, take control of your mind, and you can do anything.
Mic drop. That was well said. Thank
Wonderful.
you, Kohila.
Thank you.
Carter, any parting words that you'd like to share?
No, I think the work that you're doing is amazing, and look forward to seeing how far you go. I hope it's a long, long ways.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Back to you, Scott.
Thanks for listening to Master Your Millions with Jason and Scott Henderson. Check the show notes for any links or contact information about today's guest. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss any future episodes.